Let's recall our motivation. And the opportunity that we have to learn about and practice ethical conduct. And to really see in our lives and in the functioning of and in the functionings of society how ethical conduct is the basis of harmony and of peace. And so by our keeping good ethical conduct, we are contributing to world peace. We are establishing trust with all those around us because they know that we have absolutely no wish to harm them. So all the other beings around us can relax and feel safe and feel secure. So we may think, well, I'm only one individual doing this. But on the other hand, it only takes one individual to cause so much pain to other people's lives too. So if as one person we are very committed to world peace, starting with the world around us and spreading outwards, then we'll really value our ethical conduct and see it as an expression of our love and compassion for living beings. And so in that way, let's take that step towards full awakening. And really develop the attitude of non-harmfulness and of forgiveness and of tolerance. So yesterday we talked about the Acharya's talk on page 12, leaving the family and renouncing worldly ties. And I was thinking later that there's so many different ways that people can hear the same words and the same sentences. Yeah. So I was thinking that some people may hear, just the verse that we chanted yesterday, transmigrating within the three realms, one is not able to cut off attachment and bonds, give up attachment and enter nirvana. This is the true repayment of kindness to your parents, teachers, relatives, friends, fellow citizens of the planet, and all sentient beings. And I was thinking, one person could hear that and say, wow, that is so incredibly inspiring. I really want to cut the bonds of attachment. I want to enter nirvana, and this is really a good way to repay the kindness of those who've been kind to me because I won't harm them. I'll be of benefit to them. This is really a direction I want to go in my life. Somebody else could hear those same words and say, one is not able to cut off attachments and bonds. Oh, that's me. Gee, I would really like to give up attachment and enter nirvana, but it's just impossible. Cut off attachment, how can I do that? I have so much attachment. Every time I try and do something with my attachment, I just wind up so unhappy, so stuck. Why is this verse giving me this kind of instruction that there's no way I can fulfill? And this is a way to repay kindness. I just feel so guilty because I can't do it. Yeah? So somebody could hear those same lines and use it as a way to beat up on themselves and tell themselves they were unqualified, unable to do it. This was the wrong thing for them. Same exact words. One person reads it, and is totally inspired. Another person reads it and is totally discouraged. Okay? So it's not coming from the side of the words, is it? It's coming from how we interpret things. So this is very important to understand, because otherwise we can read all the different things in here and turn it into a weapon to hate ourselves and tell ourselves how bad we are. And my observation is that that tendency towards self-deprecation is one of the biggest hindrances Westerners have in practicing the Dharma. Yeah? That we just say, I'm unqualified, I can't do this, it's too hard, what do they expect out of me, I'm a failure, etc., etc. Well, let me put it this way, who has that part of themselves where you talk to yourself with that kind of language? Yeah. Look at it. It's all of us, isn't it? Yeah. And we talk to ourselves with that kind of language, and then we believe it. Yeah. And we believe we're poor quality. We believe that there's no hope. Yeah. Everybody else has Buddha nature. Even the flies and the mosquitoes. But I missed out. Yeah, I don't have Buddha nature. I'm never going to be able to become a Buddha. Yeah, and so we just get so tight and so hard on ourselves with impossible expectations, and we don't give ourselves credit for what we do, and we lose sight of the absolutely amazing opportunities we have, that whoever we were in previous life worked so hard to create the merit to bring about the situation that we have this lifetime. And we don't give ourselves credit for that. You know, we're stuck on the glass is half empty instead of the glass is half full. And that becomes a big hindrance. Yeah, really big hindrance. So it's important here, especially this is the ordination ceremony where we're really taking that big virtuous step to hear things as the Acharya is saying this out of care and affection and confidence in our ability, because they want us to succeed and they know we can succeed. Yeah. Nobody's saying this out of a power trip to put us down and show us that we're unqualified. Okay? I mean, think about it. No. And especially when we read, teachings from the Buddha, do you think the Buddha pointed out the 10 non-virtues to show us how awful we are and to scare us to bits because we're going to go to the hell realms? Yeah. Do you think that's the Buddha taught all that in order to frighten us? No, of course not. Yeah. We frighten ourselves. We're scared of the dog who barks. Buddha doesn't need to do anything to make us scared. He's just saying, look, I care about you. And, there's a snake over there, so don't walk there because you could get hurt. Yeah, that's all the Buddha's saying. All the guilt, the self-deprecation, all of that is coming from our self-centered thought. Mm-hmm. So self-centered thought doesn't just mean, I'm selfish and I don't want to share my candy bar with you. Okay? Self-centered thought is this kind of mind that makes us the star of the worst movie on the planet. We are the worst one, the most horrible Dharma practitioner. Yeah. How did they even let me in this room? Yeah. And I'm wearing these clothes, and if they really knew what went on in my mind, they would all faint and run away as fast as possible because my mind is full of horrible thoughts. Yeah, right? Yeah. And so we just run ourselves down instead of going, wow, look at where I am. Look at what I can do. Yeah, look at who's encouraging me. Look at the teachings that I'm getting. Look at the opportunities I have. This is amazing. Incredible. Yeah. And giving ourselves some credit. Yeah. It's really important that we do this. Okay. So whenever you catch yourself, spinning in this self-deprecating mood, thing, you need to immediately press the stop button on that tape that you're running. You press the stop button and you recognize this is garbage. Yeah, produced by my self-centered mind. And you throw it out. Yeah. You don't keep that tape as a nice collection item with all your other tapes. You destroy it. Because it's garbage. Total garbage. 100% pure garbage. Yeah. And you say, but you don't really know. My mind's so terrible, I can't become a Buddha. Okay, so you think that? You think you can't become a Buddha? Then what do you think about the Buddha saying that every sentient being has Buddha nature? You think Buddha's lying? When you say, I don't have Buddha nature, I can't become a Buddha, I'm too terrible, you're essentially saying Buddha's a liar. Yeah. Do you want to say Buddha's a liar? I don't know about you. I don't want to do that. Okay? So be careful about running yourself down, because it's really like you're saying the Buddha doesn't know what he's talking about when he says everybody has Buddha nature. Yeah. So very important. Give ourselves credit. That doesn't mean we're the best in the world. Yeah. But nobody's in a competition here to be the best. We just do what we can, one step after the other. Okay, so try and listen with a hopeful, optimistic mind instead of a cynical mind of, this is, I can't do it. Okay. So today we'll go on to page 13, the exhortation and bowing to the Buddhas. Okay, so the Acharya had given the discourse that we talked about yesterday. The person went and bowed to their parents, and thanked their parents, and saying, I'm leaving the home life now. And everybody, the whole Sangha was chanting that verse while they were doing that. Then they come back to the Acharya, and the Acharya gives another discourse, saying, child of a good family. So just start out with that, child of a good family. They're calling me a child of a good family. My family's terrible. My life is terrible. No, you're the child of a good family. You're in the Buddha's family. Give yourself some credit. Okay? So, child of a good family, you have planted deep virtuous roots for immeasurable eons. Yeah? Look what you've done in your previous lives. Yeah? Amazing. Planting deep virtuous roots for immeasurable eons. Yeah? Whoever we were in previous lives was not a lazy good for nothing. It was somebody who worked very, very hard in the Dharma. Therefore, today you are able to encounter the Buddha Dharma and go forth. Shave your head, wear monastic robes, and cultivate the Bodhisattva path. So what we did in the previous lives that we can't remember, we don't even know who we were, but it's the same mental continuum, created the causes that we now are experiencing. Yeah? And giving us the opportunity that we have to meet the Dharma. Yeah? And when you think about it, yeah, especially those of us who didn't grow up in Buddhist countries, isn't it kind of miraculous that we managed to meet the Buddha Dharma? I mean, think of how you grew up. Did anybody ever expect you to, become a Buddhist, let alone a Buddhist monastic? Yeah. Did you ever expect that from your life? How in the world did that happen? Yeah. The environment I grew up in, nothing about Buddhism. Like -0, -5 on the scale, nothing about Buddhism. And I think many of you probably came from similar situations. And yet, somehow we met the Dharma. We met amazing teachers. Yeah, it inspired us. We want to do something virtuous with our lives. Yeah, pretty miraculous. Yeah. And that's all due to causality. Yeah, the causes were created, we are experiencing the result. Okay, so we have the opportunity to go forth, shave your head, wear monastic robes, that's just the outer appearance, and cultivate the Bodhisattva path. So you can see right here in the ordination ceremony, and to take ordination, your motivation must be at least renunciation of samsara and the aspiration to attain liberation. But right here from the get-go in the Chinese tradition, you're being directed towards the Bodhisattva path. So that you're taking ordination, not just for your own liberation, but to be able to become a Buddha, to be of the greatest benefit to others. Yeah, so right from the get-go, that's in the ordination ceremony. Yeah, I think that's quite powerful. Mm-hmm. However, the practice cannot be accomplished on its own. So we can't just shave our head, put on robes, and then sit there and wait for something to happen. Yeah. So if you must live with ethical conduct. Okay, so that's the basis of the whole path. As I was saying the other day, I often call ethical conduct stop being a jerk, because living an unethical life is really kind of being a jerk. Yeah, we're just making problems for ourselves and problems for other people and causing commotion, and so we just stop living like we're the center of the universe and everything should go our way, and we just try and be more cooperative and not harm other living beings. So if you cultivate the virtue of ethical conduct, the water of concentration, or samadhi, will become deep and clear, and by means of this, wisdom or prajna will arise. So there we have the three higher trainings: ethical conduct, concentration, and wisdom. And they build on each other. Okay? With ethical conduct, we develop one aspect of the mental factors of mindfulness and introspective awareness. So with ethical conduct, we're mindful of our precepts. We're mindful of the instructions that we've been given by our teachers and by the Buddhas. And with introspective awareness, we are aware of what we're doing. Yeah. So one of the main things in ethical conduct is to watch how our senses interact with other objects. Yeah. And to watch when we walk down the street, are we looking in all the store windows? Okay. Are we looking at all the people and inside of our mind kind of going, oh, that one's good looking, oh, that one's not? Yeah. Are we listening to all the music in the background when we have to go places? And how do we relate to food? And so on. Okay? So to really look at are we letting our senses just go all over the place? Or are we trying to steer our mind and our senses in a direction that will help create a peaceful mind? Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think we all know when you walk down the street and you start looking in all the store windows, where does your mind go? Yeah, I want this, I want that. And then you get confused. I remember after I went to my very first meditation course, I went in a supermarket afterwards to go shopping. I stood there. It was like, how do I decide what to buy? Yeah, there's so much. And I like cookies. So I stood in the cookie aisle. Cookies all down the side, all down the side. And how do I choose which cookies to get? I just stood there. It's like, it was too much. It's overpowering. Mm-hmm. Okay? So you can see, it seems like very important at that moment that I decide on the proper kind of cookies to get. Because what do I really feel like eating? Do I feel like chocolate chips today? Or do I feel like ginger snaps? Or somebody got these cookies, I don't know who offered them to us. Wow. Yeah. I don't know, but they were covered in chocolate and stuff. I should have noticed the box. I didn't. I was enjoying the cookies too much. So sweet. How could you? Maybe, I should get those cookies. But, they're really not so good for me. So do I just get crackers? Crackers have too much salt and too much oil. They're not good for me either. Bread. Most of the bread in the supermarket tastes like plastic. What do I buy? Oh, let's go to Trader Joe's. Yeah? Your whole life goes by trying to figure out what kind of food you feel like eating. After you've been at the Abbey for a while, you know that as soon as you leave the Abbey, you are going directly, without passing go, without collecting $200, to Starbucks to get coffee, because you were So on an ascetic program at the Abbey without coffee. Yeah, that's true asceticism in the 21st century. Okay. So, our mind is so distracted by sense objects. And then especially we start looking at people. Yeah, you ever notice that? You sit in the airport, you watch the people, or you wait at the bus stand, you watch. You sit in the traffic jam, you watch the people. And then there's thoughts about all the people. Yeah. Oh, there's some old fat guy. Okay. Oh, there's some. Wow, that guy's really good looking. Oh, why did they part their hair on the left side? Looks so stupid. Oh, there's somebody with green hair. I like that shade green. Yeah. And we're evaluating everybody we see. Yeah. Our senses are totally out of control, and our precious human life goes by. Okay. And by this ongoing discourse in our mind, we're generating attachment and revulsion, aren't we? Yeah, towards the different people that we see. We're not saying, there's mother sentient beings who have all been kind to me in my previous life. We're looking at like, oh, there's somebody really good looking. I wonder how I can talk to them. Okay? So, we have to start with ethical conduct and controlling our senses. Yeah, if we can develop mindfulness and introspective awareness doing that, then when we sit down to meditate and develop concentration, we can then develop mindfulness and introspective awareness in another way, mindfulness being the mental factor that keeps our mind on the object of concentration, and introspective awareness being like a little spy that checks up from time to time to see if we're concentrating or to see if we're falling asleep or daydreaming or off in la-la land somewhere. Okay? And then when you develop concentration and you have some mental control, then that makes it so much easier to develop wisdom, because you can start to examine how things exist without getting distracted after 5 seconds. You can stay with the analysis for some time and really begin to investigate the nature of reality. So there we see how the 3 higher trainings really build on each other. And as they build, it doesn't mean you discard the earlier one. Yeah. When you build a foundation, as we all know, then you put the walls on top, then you have the roof. You don't take the foundation out. Okay? And so, as His Holiness tells us, the more we develop wisdom, the more we should respect ethical conduct, the more we should have respect for karma and its effects. Okay? So the Acharya is telling us, look what you have the opportunity to do now. You're entering the Buddhist Sangha and you're giving up the worldly life. Yeah, you don't have to go to family parties anymore. Okay? Yeah. Do you like family parties? Yeah, you don't have to do any of that stuff anymore. And you can really focus on what's important to you. And that brings you a lot of satisfaction. Mm-hmm. So that's what the Acharya is telling us. Yeah, then you can, on the basis of ethical conduct, you develop concentration, you develop wisdom, and then due to this wisdom, the ignorance that has existed from beginningless time will be eliminated and destroyed. Now we go, wait, how can wisdom destroy ignorance? How? And this is really very important to understand. Otherwise, it's all the whole path is kind of fuzzy for us. But if we look at what ignorance apprehends, what it grasps at, and this is very difficult to see in our own experience, but at least we can start by learning the words. Ignorance grasps at things having their own essence out there. Yeah, setting themselves up independent from everything else, with their own nature, with their own essence. Not dependent on anyone or anything else, just self-enclosed entities. And things appear to us that way. I mean, look around. You see people, how do they appear to you? Yeah? Are these real live people sitting here? Yeah? Do they look to you like they're a collection of parts? Yeah? Anybody appear to you like a collection of parts? Does anybody appear to you as a product of causes and conditions? No, they're just out there. They exist by themselves. Yeah. Do you think that what you perceive has anything to do with your own consciousness? No, it's all out there. It's objective. Okay? So that's how ignorance apprehends things. What we try and do with wisdom is we try and examine that and see, do things really exist in that way? Is it possible for things to exist in the way they appear to us to exist? Yeah. Is it possible that all these people exist without there being causes and conditions for them? Yeah? What do you think? Yeah? Did everybody just appear out of magic without causes and conditions? Nobody had parents? Nobody ate a lot of food? Nobody had a previous life? Everybody's always who they are right now? Yeah. No, that's totally impossible. Yeah, things can't exist that way because they're always changing. Even science tells us that. Things are changing moment to moment, moment. Yeah. So somehow the way things appear to us and the way we're holding them doesn't match with what reasoning says how things can actually exist. Yeah. So if we develop that wisdom that apprehends things correctly, that has the potential to overpower the ignorance that apprehends things in a mistaken way. Mm-hmm. So that we see that all this stuff we've projected onto the world in terms of how people exist and what they are and what they mean and how it relates to us, that all of that is made up by our mind, and it's mostly all BS. Okay, and so that's the way that ignorance that wisdom can overpower ignorance, because wisdom perceives the exact opposite of what ignorance apprehends. Okay? So the ignorance that has existed from beginningless time will be eliminated and destroyed. And we go, uh-oh, who will I be? It's kind of scary to think, You mean, but wait a minute, no, I'm not produced by causes and conditions. I'm me. I'm me. Nothing to do with causes and conditions. Nothing to do with parts. There's a me inside. So our ignorance really fights back quite strongly. quite strongly. So we have to really keep at the analysis. So all seeds, okay, so all seeds for future life and death will henceforth wither. Okay, so from ignorance, when you study the 12 links, ignorance produces afflictions, afflictions produce actions, karma, yeah. When the seeds of the karma ripens, it influences what we experience. Yeah. When we cut off ignorance, we stop the afflictions, we stop the creation of polluted karma, we stop the cycle of rebirth. Okay? So all seeds of future life and death will henceforth wither. How much do we really think that we're going to have future lives and deaths? Do you think about that? Or is it just, the vision of this life is so strong? I'm just me. And even if I die, it's still going to be me. Yeah. It's still going to be me. Thinking in English or German or Spanish or whatever language you think in. It's still going to be me. I'm going to transmigrate to the next life, speaking the same language, thinking in the same way. That's the way we think about it, isn't it? And come out of the womb as me. And it's not going to be like that. Okay? But that's how we think of it, There's this immutable me that's, nothing can touch. And then, but when you start to think, oh, maybe that me doesn't exist the way I think it does, then it's like, well, then who in the world am I? Yeah, I need to be somebody. And that's the grasping that keeps the cycle going. You should establish the mind of going forth, generate a strong determination, and aspire to learn the path diligently in order to attain liberation. So we have the chance to do that now. The Acharya is saying, go for it. Vinaya Master Daoxuan, he lived, 6th century? Very famous and well-respected Vinaya master in China who wrote many, many Vinaya texts. Yeah. So Vinaya Master Daoxuan says, those who sincerely go forth are frightened by the many sufferings of the four maras, loathe the impermanence of the three realms, depart from those most beloved among the 6 kinds of kins, and abandon intense involvement with the 5 sensual pleasures. Okay? So, the kind of mind that we want to generate, so those who sincerely go forth, we're about to take ordination. We want to be as sincere as we possibly can at this moment. Okay? So we're getting the instructions on how to think to really develop our sincerity. So we're frightened by the many sufferings of the 4 maras. The 4 maras are the afflictions, are polluted aggregates, death, and some kind of, I don't know, in the demigod realm, some kind of being that likes to create problems for us. Okay? Some people say that that's the 4th one. Other people say the 4th one is arrogance, which makes a lot of sense too. Okay? So somebody who sees the actions of the 4 maras in their life and says, oh my goodness, if I just continue the way I am, this is going to run the show, and where am I going to be? What's going to happen to me? Okay? So that person also loathes the impermanence of the 3 realms, So they have an awareness, I've been born this, and I've been born this, and I've gone to the highest level of the formless realms, where they have amazing single-pointed concentration. And I've also been to the lowest of the hell realms and everywhere in between. Yeah, and enough already. Yeah, this kind of impermanence going up and down, I'm tired. Yeah. Those people depart from the most beloved among the 6 kinds of kin. Okay? So the 6 kinds of kin, close relatives such as parents and children, sibling, aunts and uncles, nephews and nieces, grandparents and cousins. And this person, is okay with departing from those most beloved people. Why? Because they know they're going to have to separate from those people sometime or another anyway. Because everything that comes together has to be separated. That's just the nature of things. So we're going to have to separate from the people we're closest to, that we love the most, sometime or another. Yeah. Might as well drop the attachment to them now, so that the way we relate to them actually becomes much purer when we aren't attached to them. Okay? So it doesn't mean we have to just abandon all the people we're close to. Yeah. That depart from the 6 kinds of, the most beloved of the 6 kinds of kin. It doesn't mean you look at everybody from before and say, go away, I'm going beyond you, you stink. It's not that. It's saying my attachment to these people, my expectation that these people can give me ultimate security and happiness, that these people can give me the love I need to fill up that empty hole in my heart. That all that expectation is simply expectation. It's not possibility of what can really happen. Okay? And we just look at our own experience to see that. Yeah, we've had lots of close, loving relationships with different people in our lives. Have any of those brought you ultimate, complete satisfaction? Have any of those solved your emotional problems, your feelings of loneliness? Maybe temporarily. But what happens after they temporarily make you feel secure and happy and beloved? What happens then? Anybody here had the perfect relationship? We all hear the love songs. I'm going to love you forever. It's promised to us. Frank Sinatra said so. Have you seen anybody with a perfect relationship? Yeah. When you really look at it, would you want to be in anybody else's relationship? With all the good things and all the bad things that are going on. Would you want that? Okay. So, we're willing to give up that attachment to that, and that false feeling of security that comes from thinking that other people can solve our problems. There's this beautiful passage, I forget where it is in the Pali Canon, maybe somebody can find it, where the Buddha is talking about, he talks about, I'm a person, he was talking from the experience before he gained enlightenment, I'm a person who is overwhelmed by afflictions. And I'm looking to other people who are overwhelmed by afflictions as the ones who are going to solve my problems and make me happy. I'm paraphrasing the sutra. Yeah. And he's saying, how stupid is that? Yeah. If I'm overwhelmed by afflictions, why am I taking refuge in other sentient beings who are also overwhelmed by afflictions? How can they lead me out of my suffering? But I think we've all done that, haven't we? Taken refuge in other people who are samsaric beings who are overwhelmed by their own afflictions and karma, suffering other sentient beings. And yet we expect them to be everything for us. How can they be? Okay. So somebody who sincerely goes forth also abandons intense involvement with the 5 sensual pleasures. Yeah. So you don't spend a half an hour looking at all the cookies on the cookie aisle. Yeah. And you don't spend your time flipping through the magazines of things you could buy, or reading the ads that come up on your computer screen, or reading the billboards as you drive by on the highway, or whatever. We try and guard our senses somehow. So we know that all sentient beings are caught by the 4 maras, bound in the 3 realms, tangled with the 6 kinds of kin, and indulge in the 5 sensual pleasures. Now, when we look around us, isn't that the world that we see? Yeah. Even the people we consider high power, successful, rich, famous, intelligent in this world, aren't they all like that? Yeah. Caught by the 4 maras, bound by the 3 realms, tangled with the 6 kinds of kins, and indulge in the 5 sensual pleasures. Yeah. So those sentient beings who live like that, aren't they objects of compassion for us? Yeah. We shouldn't have unrealistic expectations of them. Accordingly, sentient beings transmigrate in the cycle of birth and death for hundreds of thousands of eons. Having given up this body, they take another one. There is no escape. You should renounce afflictions and turn your mind to the truth. Keep the precepts, cultivate concentration, develop wisdom, engage in the myriad practices of the 6 paramitas, and learn innumerable Dharma methods. In this time when the Dharma is declining in the world, establish yourself as a banner of the Dharma, attain a Buddha's life of wisdom, and cause the lineage of the 3 jewels to continue without interruption so that sentient beings will benefit from it. Okay, there's the Acharya telling us, look what you can do with your life. Yeah, don't just think, oh, I'm just little old me, there's no hope. Okay, renounce afflictions, turn your mind to the truth. Keep the precepts, cultivate concentration, develop wisdom, engage in the myriad practices of the 6 paramitas, and learn innumerable Dharma methods. And don't do it just for yourself, because in this time when the Dharma is declining in the world, and people are falling into despair, and they're losing hope, and they're getting depressed, not only by what's going on politically in the country, but also by the corruption in religious institutions. That's a big problem, isn't it? Okay, religion, which used to be the the refuge where you could go, where you meet honest people. Now, there's scandals. And so the people are really losing faith. So what do we do in this kind of mess that we're in? Yeah. The Buddha doesn't say stick your head in the sand and pretend it isn't happening. Yeah. He doesn't say get depressed and blame it on other people. He says, establish yourself as a banner of the Dharma. Yeah. No, the whole Dharma, the world's in this shape. I can't control anybody or anything. The only thing I can do is try and control myself. So let's, establish yourself as the banner of the Dharma. That's something pretty high. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it this life or even this eon. But what else am I going to do in samsara but try and do that? What else am I going to do? Go shopping? Yeah. The Dharma is declining. Yeah. And the world's a mess. And I'm going to go shopping. I'm going to go to the bar. I'm going to watch sci-fi movies. Yeah. So, okay, it's kind of, a little, it looks over the top. Establish yourself as the banner of the Dharma. But it doesn't say that we have to do that by, next Wednesday. It's just saying put your mind in that direction and see that as something useful and valuable for life. And go in that direction. It doesn't matter how long it takes, you're going there. And it's something worthwhile, and it's good, and it benefits other living beings. And so do that, go in that direction, and be satisfied and have a feeling of contentment with what you're doing because it's valuable. Yeah. Attain a Buddha's life of wisdom and cause the lineage of the three jewels to continue without interruption so that sentient beings will benefit from it. Yeah. So, we're only one monastic. We can't make the Dharma, the whole Dharma exist. We're not lineage holders, but we can do our part. And if enough of us come together, we really support each other and help each other, and we can do something powerful together. Yeah. And it benefits the existence of the Dharma so that many other sentient beings can come and meet and encounter the Dharma in future lives. And wouldn't that be nice? We all think of our friends and relatives who don't know the Dharma, and if only they would learn the Dharma, it would help them so much. Well, if we want them to learn the Dharma, then we should encourage them in virtue, and we should make sure that the Dharma continues to exist in the world. So, because maybe they're not going to meet the Dharma this life, but maybe next life. But we have to make sure that the lineage of the teachings and the lineage of the ordination is still there for them in their next life. To do so is the true going forth. Okay? So going forth isn't just cutting your hair. It's not just changing your clothes. It's not changing your seat in the meditation. Yeah. You can always tell at His Holiness the Dalai Lama's teachings, you can tell the people who are newly ordained. They all go sit in front of everybody else. Which, of course, is not where they should sit. But there's this, I'm ordained now, I get to sit in the front, so get out of the way, seniors. I'm plopping myself here. Okay. It sounds ridiculous, but this is, what I experienced. I remember one time, His Holiness, this was in South India. He was teaching at the Tantra College. Yeah. And there was a section for the Westerners and for the Tibetans. And the Westerners, the section was small. We were all totally jammed in, sitting on top of each other. So all the people who were young in ordination put themselves in the front. And then there's Venerable Nikki and me in the back. Yeah. And that's fine. I mean, I've had the privilege of being at many of His Holiness's teachings. I don't need to sit up in front. You know, it's good that other people have that chance to do that. Yeah. But it's just what I'm commenting on is this feeling that, this thing that sometimes newly ordained people get of, you know, I'm kind of precious now. Okay. Not everybody gets that feeling, but it does that, but some people do. Okay, so to do so is the true going forth. Change your mind, act in this way. Don't just put yourself in the front row all the time. Yeah? You will then become a merit field for sentient beings in the 6 realms. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Wouldn't you like to become a merit field for the sentient beings in the 6 realms? Mm-hmm. The seed of the cause of the 3 vehicles. Yeah, wouldn't you like to become the seed of the cause of the 3 vehicles? Yeah, just like people at the Buddhist time, they sometimes would just see monastics, and the thought comes, like, oh, I can do that. Yeah, we talked about it here too. Some of you, you know, you saw monastics like, oh, what is that? Oh, maybe I can do that. Yeah. So you become the seed of the cause that gets other people interested in the Dharma. Yeah, you become worthy of offerings from the faithful and will not let down the 4 kinds of people to whom you are indebted. So who are we indebted to? The 3 jewels. Virtuous government officials. Doesn't just say government officials. Virtuous government officials. Parents and all sentient beings. Okay. Therefore, the Buddha said, if someone offers the 4 requisites to as many arhats as can fill the 4 continents of the world for 100 years, this merit cannot equal the merit of someone who, for a day and night, fervently aspires to go forth. Yeah. We usually think, wow, somebody who offers requisites to arhats, you know, arhats, they're the field of merit. As many of them as can fill the 4 continents of the world for 100 years, and you're offering, making all sorts of offering of requisites to them. Wow, imagine the merit you create. And that's nothing compared to the merit of somebody who aspires for the ordained life, for the homeless life. Mm-hmm. Also, if someone erects a 7-jeweled stupa as high as the God realm of the 33, it cannot equal the merit of going forth, which is far greater. Okay? So somebody comes and says, oh, you're building a Buddha hall? Why don't you add to that a 7-jeweled stupa as high as the God realm of the 33? Yeah? And I'll benefact it. Yeah, you do the work, but I mean, it's a lot of merit to do that, okay? But the merit, it can't equal the merit of going forth, which is far greater. Okay, so it's really talking about the value of taking the ordination and keeping it. Yeah, it's not just taking it, it's keeping it afterwards. Taking it is easy. Yeah, keeping it is where you really have to transform your mind. More can be found in the canon. I will not quote more now. Know yourself to be honorable and outstanding like this. Generate the feeling of preciousness and respect, and do not despise yourself. Okay? That should also go on the bathroom mirror. Know yourself to be honorable and outstanding like this. Yeah, do you think the Acharya is saying that to you to butter you up? You think that the Acharya is lying? Okay. Generate the feeling of preciousness and respect, and do not despise yourself. Okay, so at that point, the Acharya says that to the disciple who's kneeling in front. And then the Acharya stands up and writes the syllables Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, or the words Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha above the candidate's head. And while that is happening, okay, then the assembly sings or chants the verse, "How wonderful, great, courageous one. You are able to know the world is impermanent. Leave the worldly life. Proceed to nirvana. This is rare and hard to comprehend and speak about." Okay, so you are getting really so much encouragement from the Acharya. You're a great, courageous one. You're not a wimp. Yeah, you're very courageous to practice the Dharma. You're able to know that the world is impermanent. You're able to leave the worldly life because you see it has no essence. You're able to proceed to nirvana. Yeah? And just even talking about it or trying to understand it is rare and difficult. Yeah. How many people in your whole life talk to you about your potential to do this? Yeah? Did your parents say, you have great potential? Yeah, you can become a Buddha. Yeah, you can make the Dharma exist in the world. You can become a field of merit for the sentient beings. No, your parents said, you can go and make a ton of money. Yeah, you can go and marry somebody who's really wonderful and have 2.5 children. Yeah, you can go and climb the corporate ladder. Yeah, you can go on a princess cruise. Yeah, who told us that, we can do this? Yeah. So there you really see, the kindness of your Acharya and your Upajjhaya, and you see the kindness of the Buddha, you see the kindness of all of those who support you in your practice, because they see potential in you that nobody else has ever pointed out to you. Yeah, and they can touch that part of you, your spiritual yearning, which is such a precious part of each of us, and that person is aware of that and respects that. So let's chant that verse.
How wonderful, great, courageous one. You are able to know the world is impermanent. Leave the worldly life. Proceed to nirvana. This is rare and hard to comprehend and speak about. How wonderful, great, courageous one. You are are able to know the world is impermanent. Leave the worldly life. Proceed to Nirvana. This is rare and hard to comprehend and speak about.
The quote that you mentioned earlier from the Pali Canon is from the Noble Search Sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya. And should I read? So the Buddha says, Bhikkhus, there are two kinds of search, the noble search and the ignoble search. And what is the ignoble search? Here, someone being himself subject to birth seeks what is also subject to birth, aging, death, sorrow, and defilement. And what is the noble search? Here, someone being himself subject to birth, having understood the danger in what is subject to birth, seeks the unborn supreme security from bondage, nirvana. And it repeats for aging, for sickness, for death, and sorrow and defilement.
That makes it very clear, doesn't he?
I'm probably just stating the obvious, but this low sense of self-esteem seems to have countless layers. And as soon as one layer seems to be healed or seen, brought to light, there's a deeper abyss right underneath it. Any comments?
Yeah. And it's that way actually with all the afflictions. Many layers, many grades. And so that's why it takes a while to overcome them all. But as you peel away each one and you discover a new one, say, good! Now I've seen another one. Now I can do something about it. This thing has been bugging me since beginningless time. I've never even noticed it. And now I have the opportunity, because I've seen it for the first time, to really start to do something about it. Yeah. So see it that way instead of, oh no, I peeled off one layer and there's more gunk. This is hopeless. I'll never reach the bottom of it. You see, it's the exact same situation. And we can see it as like, this is good. Now I've noticed this, I can counteract it. Or we can see it and just tell ourselves the whole thing is hopeless. The situation is the same. It's totally up to our mind.
This gives me another clue about what I missed so much when I was away from the Abbey for a few months. The thing that I missed the most was the schedule and the rituals that we have throughout the day. That we come together, we practice, we set our motivation together, we chant, the Tara in the morning, we say our prayers before lunch, we say our prayers after lunch. That structure. But just as we're talking about that reminder that of our potential, the way the structure, the schedule is built, if we're paying attention, then that sneaky, self-centered, beginningless time, gross old mind that wants to grab us by the ankle and take us back into the mud, which comes up, as soon as we finish the prayer or before we start. But we have so many times throughout the day as a group to remember our potential. And that's maybe part of the power of what I was missing. Because it is very powerful.
Because where else do you go on this planet where people do that? And it's just the small daily life things that you keep doing again and again, that over time make an impression.
Monastery, so even when we're away, I assume we're all doing some part of the Abbey schedule ourselves as we practice. But it's not as regular, it's not as intense, and you don't have the whole group doing it together also. So only in the monastery context, not just this one, I assume, but in a
Yeah.
monastery context do we have that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, and I continue to experience this, is when I am present for this ordination, is to have the Acharya spell it out and say, the worldly life does not work. No, before ordination, I thought about it, I intellectualized about it, but to be in the space, to have the boundary set, and have someone of wisdom say to you, you know what you have to do. You have seen the dissatisfaction of family life, of the material, of all the 8 worldly concerns. But to have it said in the way that she does, or he does, has so much power because it's coming from somebody after years has it integrated into their mind to such an extent that you know they're telling you the truth. This whole ordination is nothing but telling us everything that's true about the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, and ourselves as wanting to step into the lineage with the Sangha. There's such clarity when you're in the middle of this experience. And it sets you, I've just watched Venerable Kunga since she ordained. She had all sorts of things she was working on, but when she set herself in this room and has come out of that, she's got an understanding about what she's done more clearly than she ever thought she could have before she stepped into it. Mm-hmm. The power of this ceremony. And Venerable, this is only recently that Venerable's really unpacked this. And there's a sacredness about it and a power about it that's even palpable in the commentary that you're giving. Mm-hmm. So I really want to thank you, Venerable, for doing that.
Well, thank whoever put the ceremony together. Person that wrote it is. I used to not be very big on ceremonies and rites and rituals. The religion I grew up with, all the ceremonies were like, but it's so surprising to me to come here and just see how powerful they are. It's totally beyond what I ever thought.
I was thinking also after we take ordination and then when we stay here, for me personally, when my mind is, bonkers and afflicted or whatever, I get to rest in the holding and the care and the energy of all the others to continue to do the schedule every day. And over time then, the ability to stay present with the schedule and the power of it increases. Mm-hmm. So it's a strength building process just to participate in it.
Yeah. It's being one tree in that forest where all the trees are going straight.
I find it interesting that you must have to request ordination and to be accepted by a community and to be entering into this process. There's a certain level of confidence in the path that you have to have. But then at this very important point that's affirming, you're going in there with a bit of self-confidence or in the path in your practice, the level to which the advice has been given of don't fall into that discouragement mind shows the strength to which our habit is to revert back to that. Mm-hmm. So I just find it very interesting that there's such a focus on this because it emphasizes to me and how long ago this rite was written, that it's such part of the human condition that we go back to that place, that no matter how much we've got going for us and how much support we have and how much confidence we may have in ourselves when we're in a good place, we still go back to just dropping it all and too hard. So I just find it very interesting.
Okay, let's dedicate.